Yo! So I guess I'll give you a bit of an update on my training this week, as I haven't really been on the GoPro just from a personal choice. End of last video was a bank holiday. We did a trail run on Sunday and Monday. We were doing a recce for the Glendalough Tucker Trail, and we covered 50k in 2 days. I then had a coaching day on Tuesday, which was pretty jam-packed, and I did some running on the roads while I was coaching. And then Wednesday I went back up to the mountains and I covered the last leg of the Glendalough Tucker Trail, which was lovely. And then I actually signed up for a race on Saturday, so we're heading to Tipperary to do a 25k IMRA race with 1,200 meters of elevation. So with that in mind, that was going to be my last run on Wednesday, and I decided yesterday to go and get some dry needling done in my right glute, as it gives me a bit of issue. And then as I got back from that, I got a text from Sean in Health Matters to say that they had a cancellation today for a VO2 max and metabolic testing. So I'm actually on my way there now, which is super exciting. There's a lot of language we hear around VO2 max when people claim that they're not ready to get VO2 max tested, or they like a few more weeks training before they get tested. I don't think that's the right mindset around getting tested. I do think that the VO2 figure people probably have in their head, obviously, and the higher it is, obviously the better. But I think if people started taking on more of an understanding that getting a VO2 max test sets your parameters and puts you in a position where you can get better quicker with the figures that you get from the testing, regardless of where you are in your current state of fitness. So knowing your heart rate zones, because they're completely personal to you, and then having a coach them, or if you understand how to use them and to use them correctly, it can make you improve as a runner a lot quicker. So yeah, maybe adapt more of a mindset that we don't need to be in better conditions to get VO2 max testing. Rather, let's go get VO2 max tested and get our heart rate zones so we can improve in our training a lot quicker. I think that will be a better mindset for people to have, and people will improve their better. Obviously, if you're running to Garmin zones or the default training peak zones, you are at nothing. You're probably going backwards. You will plateau. You'll either find it really, really easy or really, really hard, but you will not be training towards your personal paces or your personal zones, which is super important for all levels of runners. So we are back. We have our data from Health Matters. We had a great day in with Sean. It was really great to get an insight from Sean, to look at the data with him, for him to go through it with me also, and really to be able to look at the data towards my goal, which I think is the most important thing. The VO2 was actually down. I was 67 in January 2022, now 62.8. But really the VO2 max figure isn't what's so important for me right now. I really wanted to see where my aerobic thresholds and my anaerobic thresholds were, and then obviously I wanted to use this data to see how I can push myself even further, closer to my specific goal, being the Kerry way. Sean breaks the zones down into 4 zones, where Training Peaks breaks the zones down into nearly 7 zones. So in this we've got recovery, endurance, tempo and interval. My aerobic threshold is 138 and my anaerobic threshold is at 150, which is great. Looking at my zones that I have set in Training Peaks, the heart rates are all pretty much bang on, and I won't be changing my heart rate data in Training Peaks. But what I have been looking at, and I will want to change or proof to see that it is still the same or not the same, is I'll be doing a run to heart rate. So I'll be setting, I think it's pretty important to mention as well, This data is important to me for a certain aspect. I will not be a slave to this data. I want it purely just to see where I stand. I'm super interested to see where my pace is at 150 beats per minute for an hour, to see what has changed there in terms of my zones for my paces. What I've also understood is that I do not work hard enough when I'm doing my interval sessions. It says here I should be in 172 to 179. I do not hit those zones. I know that for a fact. I'm not too worried about that because I'm not trying to improve my VO2 max, but I do feel at track, if I wanted to push harder to get out of this middle zone, I should be pushing a lot harder. Also, this data I will use and I will input into Training Peaks, and I will continue with my training without the data. It is really just a guideline for me to see where I'm at, what I need to do and where I need to go. And I think that's really important. I will not use this every day. I will not wear my heart rate strap every day. It's purely just to see where I'm at. The other test I did was a metabolic test, and this shocked me. It really did. I consume a lot of food. I do not think that I undereat whatsoever, but to come out of this and to understand that I should be eating close to 4,500 calories a day, I am definitely not doing that. I've kind of worked it out roughly in my head. I don't count calories either. I've worked out in my head that I'm probably consuming 1,000 less calories than that. Now, what's really important there is that we need to break this down into resting metabolic rate, my lifestyle and my training. And I don't do all three of them every day. So I've broken it down into 3 different days of what I have. So my rest day is my resting metabolic rate. But what is also important there is if I train the day before, I need to make sure that I'm recovering, which will take more fuel. So I'd probably consume another 1,000 calories depending on the training session I did. My resting metabolic rate is 2,500 calories, which seems about right, I think, for my weight and height. My lifestyle and activities, so this includes my coaching, my day-to-day, if I'm going for dog walks, etc. That says it's plus 1,743 calories. I think that's an awful lot. I think the lifestyle is probably too high. And then my exercise calories says plus 311 calories, which I think is too low. So I actually think the exercise and the lifestyle coupled together, it's probably not too far off. In fact, it's probably correct. So if I was doing a day where I was walking the dogs, I was coaching and I was doing my own training and I had my resting metabolic rate, the 4,500 calories, looking at it on paper, it doesn't seem too far off. If we're looking at my metabolic rate in terms of average, I'm 51% over the average in terms of slow, normal or fast. I'm right up at the top end of the scale for fast. I'll probably roughly count calories for the first week just so I know where I'm at, but I will not continue to count calories, and I'll take notes on how I feel based on that. But yeah, this one was super interesting. I don't know if you can see the figure there, but that's the final calorie count there. So what else did we find out here? We also have, for every 10 beats, we have our calorie per hour, which is really important for the ultra running. So from my anaerobic threshold at 150, I should be consuming 868 calories per hour. That data is invaluable for me. I feel having that data will be able to build a really good fueling strategy for the Kerry way. So yeah, overall, the data is super important, but it also shouldn't be the Bible as such. I still want to run to feel. I still want to go out and do some training sessions where I don't think about data. And I think for everybody that's super important. Super excited to do my 90-minute run tomorrow to see where my pace is at, and I will bring that to you in the next video. Fantastic Saturday morning. We are actually heading racing. We've got a 25k race in Tipperary, so we've got about a 2.5 hour drive to a place called Knockmeal Down Mountains, and there's myself, Carl and Noel taking part. I have some overnight oats for breakfast. The race doesn't start till 11 o'clock, so I figured it would be smart to bring some breakfast to kind of carb up pre-race, and then I have our race fuel ready to go then for the race. Of course, some L's big juicy balls for the lads. Pretty disheartening. I was leading the race up until 14k. I went wrong. Went wrong 4 kilometers. I'm now back in 5th place. But yeah, it's my own fault. Obviously took my eye off and missed a turn down a forest road. Ended up doing a big loop and meeting back in with the group. I'm now 23k in. But the race will probably be 30k for me now, so it is what it is. Rough out day on the hills. Started the race, felt really good. Went into first place, stayed in first place about 12 or 14k. Ended up missing a turn. Went wrong. Went wrong for about 3.5 kilometers. Caught back up with the race, even though I didn't know that I was wrong until I had met other people coming the opposite way. Jumped in with the race and I was 10th. I had 12 or 13k left. I ended up taking 3rd place. So after my own stupidity, not a bad result to finish with. Really happy with my running and how the day went.